Yes, no? If you're dealing with sensitive data like elections, you want to see the difference between someone typing the wrong password or someone trying to break into the system. So mistyped passwords against intrusion detection, offline versus online. The system I work on is only addressable from the outside by the firewalls, but the system itself cannot go onto the internet. So you cannot analyze your data from the firewall from within the system because you cannot reach outside, so it has to be offline. I want to have something free instead of commercial. I want to have something unlimited instead of limited. I want something fast instead of slow. I want to understand what the issues are instead of just blindly accepting what the intrusion detecting system tells me, and I want to have fun instead of frustration. So, warnings from intrusion detection systems can be something like the IP address, this has 10 failure attempts in, it's all Dutch, but you see this in your own language from the intrusion detection system. And all of those have an IP address. In my case, the system is IPv4 only, so I don't see IPv6. And you need to extract that address to see where it comes from. If this address is from your customer and he mistyped the password 10 times, then it is something completely different than someone from Taiwan breaking into your system. So warnings can also be a possible break-in attempt, high number of reverse lookup attempts. Those are probably just bots. Brute force attacks. Those are people that are trying to use SSH or other services to check if they can get at your data. Multiple failed logins. It is possible that it is a user that got his password by SMS and just misread the 0 for a capital O or vice versa. And we all know customers can be stupid. Multiple access attempts using a denied user. Well, that's something pretty bad. So what you need here is to decide which of those attacks are a threat and which ones are not. Note that I don't not use Python, Java, PHP, or any of those on my host system. So anyone that uses Python or Java or anything related, Python, those are requests that are a threat to my system. Those are not documented, those are not supported. So it's someone trying to get access to MySQL or default web dev services or whatever. So I can all block these. And they all have a different, it's post 400, 404, 405, 406. So you can categorize your problems and say, what do I want to block? Note that I do not control the firewall. I analyze this and give a report to the firewall manager, and they decide what to do with the reports. There are different detection systems. I've looked through most of them, and I'm personally a fan of OSSEC because it's easy to configure, and the messages that come out of it are really easy to read. It's written in C. You just choose, you can stack them, you can use them together, so you can get even more and more and more messages, but it's up to you if you use them and how you use them. But every firewall or intrusion detection system will give you messages. All detection system messages are IP based. 10 failed attempts, IP address, IP address, IP address. I never found a message that did not contain an IP address. But it doesn't tell me where it comes from. I want to see, is this one of my customers? And I don't remember all the IP addresses of my customers. Or is it someone trying to do something bad? I used to feed these IP addresses to a website. And domaintools.com, or WhoIs, you can put the IP address there and you get all the information. And here it says Cloudflare, where it is, and there is also a part where there is the country. This is San Francisco. So Cloudflare is in San Francisco. But you have to manually read this. Then you have SuperTool and Mbox Tool, and all deliver similar results. But what you have to do is enter the address here or in the command line or in the URL, or it's a lot of work, and most of them have a limit to the amount of IP addresses you can request on one day. So I was looking at GeoIP. There is a huge amount of GeoIP things on the system. This is for Susan. If I ask for what tools are there for Susan to get it. Okay. GeoIP lookup minus help. I don't know the tool, give me the manual. It's worthless. It really is. It just doesn't work, and there is no clue in the manual or in the readmes or whatever how to fix it. MaxMind comes to help. Who has heard of MaxMind? Quite a few hands. Good. They use GeoIP databases and services at two levels, the free and the supported ones, and they also are very into open source, and they are one of the sponsors for the Quality Assurance Hackathon or the Perl Toolchain Summit. So I'm very thankful for what they give. And there is now a GeoLite 2 database which is free for use. And it's quite complete. Free downloadable databases. It comes in two forms. It has zip files with the original format, and it has zip files with CSV files. I know a guy who knows quite a bit about CSV, so I thought that should be something for me. So I write a tool that uses these databases converted from CSV into a database. So I type GeoIP 1234 and it gives me this information from the GeoIP to databases. I'm quite happy because now I have the database. I converted all the CSV files into Postgres with some extra information, and now I have it online or offline. You know, it's readily available and it's fast. So 1234 is Australia, Oceania, and I know Oceania has nothing to do with our voting system. Nothing. So I can report to our firewall maintainer, block this range for this system. I just chose some random IP addresses. It's not that these broke into our systems or try to. City, Beijing in China, Asia. But of course I want more. Latvia. That is interesting. Latvia.travel, the provider is Cloudflare, and it's located in the US. It also gives you the location and the distance of unsurety. In meters? Yes. No, in kilometers. Kilometers. So Sobor.lv is in Latvia, in Europe, and it has a distance of 50 I think, kilometers or meters or whatever. It's the lower, the better. So if you go there, you get at a church in the center of this city. So I do that. This is one of the churches close to here. It's worth visiting. It's registered in Riga, and if you go to those URLs, you can get the map of this part of the city. This number, which is rather low, causes the zoom factor, which is 40Z or I think 14. There is a mapping of how much the maps zoom in. So if you click on the link, it's relative to the amount of unsurety. Latvia.lv is registered in Ireland. And Latvia.eu is also registered in Ireland. And if you look at it, it's the same IP address. So there is, for the same range, there's two names. But you also see that using this, GeoIP can use either IP addresses or host names. Sometimes I don't need the distance, I just need a fast input. So you can have the option -- short. And for Amazon, you see that there are several networks. This is what I have implemented so far. --fetch will try to see if there's new sources available, download them and load them into the database you tell it to use. By default, it's the GeoIP database on the local host in Postgres. But you can say what kind of DB you want, and I've also tested it with SQLite and Oracle. Don't use Oracle, it's slow. SQLite is actually very fast, but the disadvantage of using SQLite is that's for one user only, and it's local there. While if you use Postgres, you can use all the servers behind the firewall to use the same Postgres data and share the data. So you have to load it only once, and loading takes a lot of memory. Short skip the location and flags. The distance, I showed you that it shows how far it is from the current location. So it can use geolocation to say where you are, your server is, and then check the distance on the globe to the other one. I recently built in the WhoIs information, and currently it works only if that WhoIs IP is installed, but you can swap that out for any, it's just a few lines of code. So if you want another, there is too many of those, and I still don't know which one is the best, but it gives you more information. And you can set another database. How do I find my own location? So there's IP location services, and it tells you I live here. So it knows your IP. It also checks GeoIP databases, but it shows you where you are. GeoIP tool. It's unreliable. I think 80% out of the 100 times that